Hello, William Smith here with the William Smith Luxury Group at Coldwell Banker Realty in Carmel, California, with another idea about how to best use the California Association of Realtors residential purchase agreement to your advantage. So, I need an appraisal contingency because I'm paying too much for your house, I think. And what happens if it doesn't appraise and I can't get my loan? Well, that's what an appraisal contingency is for. So what is an appraisal contingency? An appraisal contingency is that you have inspected the property, you're getting your loan approved, everything's going smoothly, and all of a sudden the appraiser comes in and you're paying $980,000 for this house, and the appraiser says it's only worth $950,000. Oh my God, what do I do now? I only have 20% down, and I've got barely enough to cover the reserves. Oh, what are reserves? Reserves are about 6 months worth of your overhead for your mortgages that most lender will want. Every lender has a reserve requirement of something. So I don't have enough money to make up that $30,000 difference between what the appraiser says it's worth and what you say it's worth. What do I do now? Well, first of all, if there's nothing that you can do, the good part about having an appraisal contingency is that you're not stuck with having to buy that property if it doesn't appraise enough, if you have an appraisal contingency. So your options are to make up the difference, negotiate with the seller, or cancel the contract to get a refund and go find a house that does appraise for what you're paying for it. So sellers, what happens when the appraisal doesn't come in high enough? I signed the contract. It has an appraisal contingency. Do I have to sell it for the appraised value? No, you don't have to sell it for the appraised value. You need to make sure that you have a decision made whether you can replace that buyer or you can go ahead and reduce the price in a negotiated fashion so you can come up with a sale price that's acceptable to you based upon that appraisal. So using that $980,000 purchase price in the contract that's been agreed upon and the $950,000 appraisal, there are several things that can be done to resolve it. Number one is you can appeal the appraisal. You can ask for a second opinion. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you can't. And then if you're the seller and you can give on some of that price, maybe you sell it for the appraised value. Maybe you split the difference, and a $30,000 difference. Maybe the buyer comes up with an extra $15,000 and you come down with $15,000. But bottom line is, if the property doesn't appraise for the agreed price, the contract allows the buyer to not be stuck with having to come up with more money. And it provides an opportunity for the seller to make some decision on what they have to do. But they don't have to, the seller does not have to sell it for anything less than the contractual price. And if the seller feels like they can replace the buyer easier, then cancel the escrow. If the buyer has no way to come up with the difference, then you move on to the next buyer. So that's what the appraisal contingency does to protect both buyer and seller. It allows the contract to have a negotiated end, or it allows the buyer to get their refund back, and it does not compel the seller to have to sell it for appraised value. I hope you find that helpful. We'll have more information about how to understand the California Association of Realtors contract and use it to your advantage as the buyer or seller in the future. So more to come.